In this video, I'm going to review the Unit 6 study guide for integers. So the first page of the study guide is just a basic review of the integers information. It's the same things that we've copied into our notes, including these integer keywords. We may have added some words here in class. We have ordering integers, and the next section is practice. So the first practice part is to determine if the following numbers are integers. And remember, integers are whole numbers, positive or negative. So they can only be whole numbers. So if we look at the first one, -7, -7 is a whole number. So -7 is an integer, and you can write yourself whole number if you need to. 2.7 is a decimal, so that is not an integer. 3.8 is a decimal, so that is not an integer. Now, 10/5, it's a fraction, and if I solve this fraction as 10 divided by 5, 10 divided by 5 is 2. So that is a whole number, so that is an integer. Number 9 is a whole number, so that is an integer. 1/2, if I divide that 1, I get 0.5. So that is not an integer. 4 is a whole number, so it is an integer. -3.1, it is a decimal, so it is not an integer, even though it is negative. 12 is a whole number, so that's an integer, and then -17 is also a whole number, so that is also an integer. For the next section, it says write the opposite value of each integer. So the opposite of 12 would be -12. The opposite of -25 would be +25. The opposite of -99 would be +99. The opposite of 4 would be -4. The opposite of 36 would be -36. And the opposite of -57 would be +57. For the next part, it says mark the integer below and its opposite on the number line. So our integer for this problem is 2, so I'm going to put 2 on the number line. And here's 0. You can mark that it is 2 spaces away. So I'm going to go 2 spaces the opposite, which makes my other integer a -2. Same thing for -5. I'm going to put -5 on the number line. I can see that -5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces away from 0. So I have to go 5 spaces the opposite direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which gives me an answer of +5. So I have -5 and +5. The next section is writing an integer to represent the situation. So James withdrew $80 from his bank account. So because I'm withdrawing or I'm taking out, it is a -80. Harry adds 18 more toy cars to his collection, so that is a +18. Kevin took 5 crayons to school and then he lost them all. So because he took and he lost, he got -5. Lillian received $10 as pocket money from her dad. Received is to give or to get, I guess. So it'd be 10. And then the last one, Mr. Johnson was fined $13 as he failed to pay the telephone bill on time. So because he was fined, that is a -13. All right, the next section is compare using greater than, less than, or equal to. And remember, you can draw yourself a number line if you choose to. -21 and -21 are equal to. A positive is always greater than a negative. Same thing for number 3, a positive is always greater than a negative. And the same thing for number 4, a positive is always greater than a negative. For these ones, these are just ordering ones, and we're going least to greatest. So we're going smallest to largest. And so I'm going to look at all my numbers, and I'm going to pull out, okay, do I have any negative numbers here? No, I don't see any negatives. So because I don't see any negatives, I'm just going to put all those whole numbers in order. So 5 would go first. And then, let's look, I would have 19. And then 24. And then 46, 77, and 98. So they're just positive whole numbers for that one. The next one gets a little bit trickier because I do have some integers. I'm going to highlight those first because integers are always going to be, or I'm sorry, negative integers are always going to be less than positive integers. And remember, the further left they are, the less they are. So left is less. So you can think of this as like this number line as having a 0 in the middle. And I'm going to work with my negatives right now. I know negative 11 would be closest to 0. And then after negative 11, kind of like counting backwards, would be negative 47. And then negative 62 and negative 83. So there's all my negatives. And now I have to do my positives on the other side. So I have 38 and 56. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the next one. I'm going to highlight my negative numbers just so they pop out to me a little bit. And I can think of 0 as being in the middle. And remember, the numbers that are closest to 0 are like the 1s, and then you count backwards, especially on the negative side. So this will be negative 17, and then negative 25, negative 39, negative 54, and then negative 71, and then I have 90 on the other side. And that is your quick review of your Unit 6 study guide. If you have any questions, please make sure you let your teacher know.